Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Medical News Update. Today we're talking about a new study looking at artificial sweeteners and their impact on brain health. The results suggest that consuming these low and no calorie sweeteners may speed up memory loss and thinking problems, especially in middle age. Researchers analyzed data from more than 12,000 adults in the Brazilian longitudinal study of adult health. Participants completed memory and thinking tests every 4 years across three study waves, beginning in 2008 and continuing through 2019. At the start of the study, participants also reported their diets using a detailed food questionnaire, which estimated their intake of 7 different sweeteners, including aspartame, saccharin, acesulfame K, erythritol, sorbitol, xylitol, and tagatose. When the results were compared, those in the highest sweetener intake group had a 62% faster rate of overall cognitive decline compared to those in the lowest group. That difference was equal to about 1.5 years of extra brain aging. Memory and verbal fluency were especially affected, with declines up to 173% faster in the highest consumers. Interestingly, the strongest associations were seen in people under 60, but not in older adults. This suggests that midlife exposures may have a greater impact on long-term brain health. The effects were also more pronounced in people with diabetes, pointing to a higher vulnerability in this group. All sweeteners studied, except tagatose, were linked to cognitive decline. The key message is that midlife exposure to artificial sweeteners may accelerate brain aging decades later. This builds on earlier studies that linked sweeteners to conditions such as diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and depression. Still, it is important to note some limitations. The study did not include all widely used sweeteners such as sucralose. Dietary intake was only measured once at the start, so it's possible people change their habits over time. And because food frequency questionnaires rely on self-reporting, there is always a chance of error. Even so, this is the largest and longest study to connect artificial sweeteners with brain decline, and experts have described the evidence as compelling. For doctors, this may be a reason to reconsider advising patients that sweeteners are safe sugar substitutes, particularly for people with diabetes, metabolic syndrome, or vascular risk factors. For patients, the advice is not to panic, but to limit daily consumption. That means avoiding regular use of diet sodas and sugar-free processed foods and choosing natural alternatives like fruit, honey, or spices when possible. That's all for today's medical news update. Thank you for listening, and remember, small choices in midlife can make a big difference for brain health later in life. Be sure to subscribe for more updates on the latest medical research.